to use a Dungeon Master screen or not use a Dungeon Master screen. I personally use a Dungeon Master screen. A lot of the times it's because I have a bunch of stuff on the actual screen that legitimately help me know stuff, and I run a lot of secrets and intrigue type plot hooks and twists and stuff. And I don't have the best memory, so I keep them on the back of my dungeon screen in a very specific way. I heavily use my dungeon screen and the things behind it, right? So if I were to not use it though, I think that's a very interesting challenge, and I would totally do that, and I totally have done that in the circumstances where it feels right for the dynamic of the group. Because I think the biggest thing for myself is, what's the vibe of the group? Is this some type of thing where y'all are all playing together? There's no screen, y'all are all at the table. I think that's a really cool vibe. That's a really cool togetherness that everyone will feel, because there's not that separation, right? There's gonna be a much more sense of team and camaraderie, and the dice versus, and it's everyone versus the dice, and they're all telling us like, that was really cool. And that you feel that at the table whenever that is the case, and everything feels more legit because there's no like secrets and stuff behind the screen going on, you know. Now, I will say, because this is a super chat during our live stream, the question is talking about when to use a screen as far as them seeing the roles, knowing AC, knowing some stuff. I think that's different. Is if even when I don't have a screen, I still have my stuff. You know what I mean? I still have all my things here. I don't necessarily show them everything that's going on, especially the secret little pad I have about the different triggers and different hidden notes and paths and my session notes and stuff. No, you're not seeing that stuff. But it's different with the dice rolls. I think that's the biggest thing here. Is there's absolutely no room and zero chance for fudging. So if you're going to do this, I would say you need to be a more experienced dungeon master, because new dungeon masters that are not experienced, they don't have multiple sessions under their belt. They're not going to know how to, especially if you're homebrewing. Maybe if you're running a module and you want to have a DM run a module and just run it straight up and just see how the players do, sure, you can be a beginner DM and do that. I am a very, very homebrew DM. So when I first started DMing, I was homebrewing my butt off, and I had no idea what I was doing, because it's an art, it's a science, it's a skill, right? So whenever I'm homebrewing, I'm doing it wrong because I'm not good at it yet. I'm not as good as I am now, but it takes that failure to get good at it. I have a whole video I'm going to be doing on that. But since I'm not doing it right, I need to be able to adjust. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, no way I should have had this be 2d12. Oh my God, that means they could roll a 24. Oh, wow. And I need to be able to pull those punches, pull those dice, you know what I'm saying? And make some changes. There's a whole video I could do on making adjustments on the fly, but I would do those as a new DM when I realized I screwed up, and I didn't want the whole game to tank because I didn't know how to homebrew, right? That's not fair to them. When you have no screen, there is no chance for you to fudge rolls, and your new DMness can show, and the group needs to be on the same page about that and know that, especially if you're going to homebrew. So as a more experienced dungeon master, moving away from the beginner dungeon master, I totally would be interested to see how this whole thing would go, and I would be right along for the ride with the players, and everything would have to be as it is. There's no room for tweaking stuff around, all that kind of stuff. That it's just got to be straight up. So that'd be really, really interesting to see how that goes. But at the same time, everybody's super invested. They all see the rolls. You roll it, they see that roll. They know what's coming. You know what I mean? And to take it one step further, a lot of times I will tell them what they need to roll, like, or what I need to roll, or what the boss, like they have a +5 to hit. Your armor class is a 15. If they roll a 10, and you can kind of hype up rolls and stuff like that. I talk about that in my the best DM video, about hype rolls and all that kind of stuff. But as soon as someone hits the armor class, I just tell them that that's the armor class. That's another thing, because that was another part of the question. But not having a screen seems really stressful to me from an organization standpoint, and all those types of things. So for me, my personal preference is to use a screen, but there's been so many people telling me so many cool stories in the comments of my videos, even talking with some people. I'm going to do a poll. I'm going to do a poll on this to see what the actual number is. But, and in fact, I'll put it in the video somewhere. But I want to do a poll to see what the actual number is. But I've heard some super cool stories about people not having a Dungeon Master screen, and just let everything's out in the open. Really cool vibe at the table, to the point where I have tried it before, not in my actual hardcore sessions, but I think it's been pretty cool. Another thing that just popped in my head about this whole DM screen or not DM screen thing is, in my personal opinion and experience, when I didn't have the screen, every roll I rolled was out in the open. Rolls that didn't matter whatsoever, rolls that really did matter, rolls that were super important. They're all in front of the screen. And if they're always in front of the screen, then that's not as big of a moment. So when I do stay behind the screen, and my default is behind the screen, I'm rolling behind the screen, doing things, whatever, all those things, the meaningless rolls, the whatever, also. But if there's a moment where something's happening, and guys, if this hits here, if this monster hits this damage, if this, all that kind of stuff, y'all know these hype moments I'm talking about, I will roll that in front of the screen most of the time. I'll say the number that you need to hit. I'll say what I need to roll on the dice. I will pull back that curtain mechanically, literally, and I will roll that dice in front of the screen. I love that moment, but I think that moment gets heightened if I normally roll behind the screen. We're also talking about playing online versus not online. And if you're online, I generally, when I'm online, I roll the dice here. Like, I just roll the dice and then I play that way. You can easily roll the dice through whatever means that you do. I just like physically rolling the dice. Feels good. I don't know. But for those hype rolls, for those big time rolls, I will roll it through the digital out onto the table or whatever interface that you're using, so that everybody can see it and everybody has that moment all together, instead of me being like, oh guys, I roll, you know what I mean? So I had to throw that in there. So up to you to decide what the vibe is right at the table. If you feel confident enough as a dungeon master to take away that screen and really become one of the players in a sense, to where you are open air with everything, much less secrets as far as that goes. So I comment below on this live stream and in this video if you want to see my thoughts on fudging rolls and how that whole thing works, because I know that's a super hot topic. So I would be afraid to do it, but if y'all want to see enough of that, let me know, because that would be a whole, I've seen so many different stances on that, but yeah, we'll see. Time out. Do you want some more behind the screens action? My patrons get early access to every single thing I do, and at the first of every single month, I release a patron only video with a lot of behind the scenes Q&As that you guys ask me, including the Kickstarter book I'm releasing, and every single monthly PDF. If that sounds cool, you can become a patron right here or in links down below. So until next time, stay creative and think outside the box. Peace.